Yo, what's up, chefs? It's Vinny, and welcome back to another episode of POE Academy. This is a video series where I'm going to attempt to break down some of the game's more complex or less understood systems in a comprehensive but easy to digest way, all in roughly 10 minutes or less. So let's get started. Today's topic is going to be Crafting 101, and to be clear, the intended goal of this video is to give you a solid fundamental understanding of how crafting works in 0.3 that you can then take with you and apply tangentially to almost anything, whether you're crafting an item for yourself, crafting on random items you got from maps before trying to sell them, or maybe you're even taking advantage of a hole in the market to make some free currency. It really doesn't matter because this video is going to help you with all of that. Now, in order to try and do this effectively, I'm breaking the video down into 3 parts. First, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the basics of items and how that relates to crafting. Next, I'm going to give you a 3-step template that will make understanding most crafts very easy. And then finally, I'll put everything into practice and go through a few example crafts of my own. So, starting off with the basic rundown of items, the first thing you're going to want to do is become comfortable with either POE2 database or Craft of Exile. Both of these websites are extremely helpful, and they're going to basically become your best friend when it comes to crafting, giving you all the specific, detailed information you need in order to craft effectively. Personally, I like to use POE2 database more often than not, so for the rest of the video, that's what we'll be using. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the basics of the items. To illustrate this, I'm going to use this sleek jacket here, starting off with the item type. This is a body armor. As opposed to belt, glove, boots, helmets, this is a body armor. That's going to determine the types of modifiers that can roll in the item. After that, we have the base type of the item. So in this case, that's going to be the sleek jacket. That's going to determine the implicit values that come on the item. So in this case, it's evasion rating and energy shield. As you can see over here, we have a falconer's jacket, which is a different base type. And you can see it's got lower evasion rating, lower energy shield, but it comes with that % increased movement speed, which is just a trade-off. After that, we have item level. You can see the item level on an item by hovering over it and holding Alt. Here we have item level 80, and this is going to determine the tier of modifiers that can show up on the item. So for example, tier 1 resistance has a modifier level of 82, which means in order to see it appear, you would have to have an item with an item level of 82 or higher. Hopefully that makes sense. Item level, modifier level, they go hand in hand. After that, we have item rarity. So of course, for crafting, we're mainly concerned with normal, magic, and rare items. Normal items have 0 modifiers. Magic items can have up to 2, 1 prefix, 1 suffix, and rare items can have up to 6, 3 prefixes, 3 suffixes in 99% of cases. And to just take things one step further from modifiers, modifiers also have something called modifier tags, which is synonymous with modifier type. So for example, on the helmet, we have % increased energy shield has the defenses tag. This is going to become very important later on when we start using things like homogenizing exaltation, which allows us to add additional modifiers of the same type. Once again, modifier type, modifier tag are synonymous. So, now that you understand the basics of items, let's hop into the 3-step template that's going to make understanding most crafts very easy. And to do this, I'm going to be using POE2 database once again and sticking with the body armor example because it's pretty good at illustrating this. But in the 3rd and final section of the video, I'll do some other examples to mix things up a bit and show you that it can be applied to almost anything. So step 1 is going to be to determine your end goal. So if I was making a chest piece for myself, for example, I would want it to be a hybrid evasion energy shield chest piece. So I'll come to modifiers, body armors, dex, int. Here we go. And then on top of that, I need the chest piece to have deflection rating equal to % of evasion rating. That's just something I prioritize. And then also I need it to have a really high evasion energy shield. So I want it to have all 3 of the evasion energy shield prefixes, not the one that has life in there as well, because that's going to give me lower rolls for the actual evasion energy shield. I want the other 3. Okay, so that's the things I need. The final 2 suffixes, I don't really care what they are as long as they're not bad. So I don't want stun threshold, I don't want reduced duration of bleeding or any of that stuff. I'm looking for resistance, attribute, faster start of energy shield recharge. Any of those things are fine. That is step 1. There's my end goal. So step 2 is going to be a little bit more broad, but as you put it into practice, it'll be easier to understand. And it is essentially to identify the finish line for the item. By finish line, I mean at what point can you just slap the item with a preserved rib plus a omen of homogenizing exaltation to get the remaining modifiers that you're looking for. Like I said, this is pretty broad. As you put it into practice, it'll become easier to understand. For this example, there's 2 easy to identify finish lines. One is a rare chess piece with the deflection rating suffix plus 1 other good suffix, and then 1 of the defense only tag prefixes. At this point, all you'd have to do is Omen of Dextral Necromancy plus the preserved rib. That'll give you your 3rd suffix. And then for the 2 prefixes, you would use a Omen of Homogenizing Exaltation plus an Omen of Greater Exaltation. And that would guarantee that you get 2 other prefixes with the defense tag. Worst outcome is one of those ends up being this one that has the life added in as well. Best outcome would be you get the 2 other defense only tags. If you get the worst outcome, it's not the end of the world. You can just sell the item on trade, or you can use it until you want to craft a better one, but there is a tiny bit of RNG there. The other easy to identify finish line would actually just be a magic chess piece with deflection rating plus 1 of the defense prefixes, magic, and then all you do is you hit it with a greater essence, which applies a resistance as a suffix. Now you've got basically the same thing that I just said. At this point, you just preserved rib with the Omen of Dextral Necromancy for the final suffix, and then used a homogenizing exalt plus greater exaltation for those 2 final prefixes. Easy to go. Those are 2 easy to identify finish lines for the crafting process. So, step 1 was identify the end goal. Step 2 was identify the proverbial finish line, so to speak, for the crafting process. Step 3 is just how do you get to the finish line? And there's a lot of different ways to do this. The best one is going to depend on what you're trying to craft, but the main examples would be 1, like in this example, you could either buy the rare chess piece that has deflection rating plus 1 other good suffix plus 1 of the defense prefixes, and all of the other modifiers need to be open, like there need to be no other modifiers, so you would need 1 open suffix, 2 open prefixes. You could buy a magic chess piece that has deflection rating plus 1 of the defense tags, and then like I said, you just slam it with an essence, then rib, then homogenizing exalt, very easy. You could recombinate 2 chess pieces together, so one of the chess pieces could have deflection rating, like T1 deflection rating, and maybe like T3 res, and the other one could have like T1, 1 of the defense prefixes, recombinate those together. You would probably need to do that multiple times to get a success, and then eventually you would have one, and then all you'd have to do the finish line stuff. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could take a bunch of normal bases, slam them with perfect transmutes, perfect augments, until you get a magic item with deflection rating, plus 1 of the good prefixes. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can get to the finish line. Those are some of the main ones, and it's really going to just depend on what you prefer doing or what you're trying to craft, which will help you understand which is the best to choose. More often than not, I just pick a finish line and then I just buy the item that way. So like I'll go look on trade. I literally have filters set up, like trade filters set up to find me cheap finish line items. Here we go. Here's this helmet link. This is just an example, but this one has high energy shield prefix, crit chance, double res. All I'd have to do here is just homogenizing exalt plus omen of greater exaltation, and then boom, I've got like a really good helmet that I could sell on trade. Alrighty, moving on to the third and final section of the video, I'm going to take you guys through 2 example crafts. One is going to be a juicy energy shield helmet, and the next one is going to be some rarity, crit damage bonus, level of melee skills, gloves with flat damage rolls as well. Both going to be really good items. So let's go ahead and get started. Moving on to the helmet craft first. Of course, I'm going to come to POE 2 database. I'm going to take you guys through it with the template that I outlined in the second section of the video. Starting off with helmet. We're going to go to intelligence for energy shield base. And step 1, what is my end goal? Well, I want it to have both of these defense prefixes plus 1 of these 2. And then in my case, I would like it to have rarity as one of the suffixes and then just 2 other good suffixes. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, where is the finish line? Well, there's multiple of them for this, but the one that I'm going to choose is I want a magic item that has a rarity suffix and then one of these two defense prefixes. So I've got a trade link already set up here. I'll include this down below. This is going to be for specifically Ancestral Tiaras because I want to use the best base type for this. I'll go ahead and hit search. Essentially, just to break down the trade link a little bit, I'm looking for it to have, of course, one of the two prefixes, not life or mana. I don't want either of those. And then I just want it to have one of these suffixes as well. But in specific, like I said, I'm going to look for one with rarity. So I'll go ahead and hit search. Scroll down just a little bit. Here's one with rarity, so we'll go ahead and buy this one. And then here's another one with rarity, so we'll go ahead and buy both of those. Be right back. Alrighty, here we go. As you can see, I've got both the helmets, so that takes care of step 3. Of course, if you wanted to, you could buy just a bunch of normal Ancestral Tiaras, slam them with transmutes, augments yourself, waiting to get good rolls. You could also do a recombination tactic. You'd end up with a rare helmet with 3 modifiers, and then you would just do a lot of these same steps that we're about to do. But obviously, in my case, I think it's quite easy, and I would prefer to just buy the magic bases with the good modifiers. From this step, it's very simple. We're just going to slam them with essences. So I'll put fire res on this one. I'll put lightning res on that one. No particular rhyme or reason here. I'm just showing you guys the example. So now, boom, they've got T1 energy shield, T1 rarity, and they've got a T3 resistance. Already looking pretty solid. The next step is to add a suffix desecration. The reason we want to do this is because we want to block the third suffix. We don't want our next step to hit a suffix, so we're going to go ahead and block that now. So we're going to use an Omen of Dextral Necromancy, then we're going to get our Preserved Rib, we're going to slap both of them with it, easy peasy. All the suffixes are taken up, as you can see, no confusion. Now the last step, the final step, is Homogenizing Exaltation plus Greater Exaltation, and then we're also going to go ahead and grab ourselves a couple of these Greater Exalts as well. If you want, you can use Perfect Exalt here, but you're not going to get much value from it, just to be clear, because we're looking at these modifiers right here. A Greater Exalt means we can get one of these 4. A Perfect Exalt would just be one of these 3. So the difference between Greater and Exalt is just Greater and Perfect is just whether or not you can get tier 4, which I'm not going to spend an extra like 800 Exalted Orbs to just eliminate this possibility. Doesn't make sense for me, at least, especially not just to show you guys the example. So now we're just going to select Omen of Homogenizing Exaltation, Omen of Greater Exaltation. We're going to slap them both with the Greater Exalted Orb. We're going to hope and pray. Before I look at them, I'll just describe what happened there. So the only 3 options, we're getting 2 modifiers added to the helmets. Those 2 modifiers have to be one of these 3 options. So either % increased energy shield, or energy shield max life, or energy shield max mana. The worst case scenario is if we get both of these, which is the least likely outcome as well because they have lower weights than increased energy shield. Best case scenario is we just get increased energy shield plus one of these. Doesn't really matter which one you get. Max mana would probably be a tiny bit better because it'll apply to CI builds, but it really doesn't matter. As long as we get increased energy shield as one of the mods, we're happy. So now let's go ahead and look. This one, we unfortunately got the least preferred. We got both energy shield mana and energy shield life. It's a little unfortunate. This one, perfect. This one's amazing. We got T1 max energy shield, T1 increased energy shield, T2 increased energy shield max life. So the only way this could have been better for that role specifically would be T1 right there. But T1 on both of these top 2 modifiers is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now this helmet is already really insane. As you can see, I'll just go ahead and slap it with some armor scraps. Go ahead and Artificer's Orb. And then we'll throw in an Iron Rune, of course. And as you can see, 512 energy shield. The magic base cost me, I'll throw up all the prices on screen, but just to run through them, the magic base cost me 50 Exalted Orbs. The Rib plus Necromancy was like 2 Exalted Orbs. The Essence was like 1 Exalted Orb, so that's like 3. And then the Homogenizing Exaltation plus Greater Exalted Orb, that's like another 100. So all in all, it's about like 150 Exalted to craft this. And depending on what we unveil, this could be worth like 6 plus Divine. In its current state, let's just go ahead and see what it's worth. We'll do 510. We're going to do Rarity 23. We're going to do Total Elemental Resistance 30. And we'll just see. It's already worth a couple divine at a minimum. And now we just need to go see what we unveil. So for this last step, we're also going to grab an Omen of Abyssal Echoes because we would like to have an additional chance at unveiling something good, especially since this is a good helmet already. Let's go ahead and run over here. I'm not even going to unveil the other one because I just don't really care about it too much. I'll unveil it on a different time, or at a different time. So we're going to use our Omen of Abyssal Echoes, of course. We're going to slap this in here. Reveal. Honestly, all three of these are decent. None of them are actually too bad. Increased spirit reservation, I would have to like price check this to see if this is worth it. So I could be making a huge mistake by passing over on this, but I don't want to price check that right now. This could be the best one. Both of these are fine. I'm just going to re-roll for shits and giggles to see if we can get something better, like a better resistance. We got low crit chance, so like that re-roll was obviously terrible. Here, I'm actually just going to pull it out, or let me just price check the spirit reservation. Okay, so it looks like spirit reservation's pretty decent. The cheapest one that would have similar stats is going for 3 div, beyond that 5 div, and then 30 div. It goes, pretty nuclear in price after that. I'm not expecting these to sell at this price, but I would expect this to probably sell for anywhere from 3 to 6 divine, so we'll just go ahead and grab spirit reservation. We might have been better off just taking cold resistance or increased energy shield recharge rate, but it's not the end of the world. I really don't care too much about this particular helmet. We'll go ahead and take spirit reservation, and then obviously I'm just going to list this on trade, sell it for like 5 divine, and there's a nice, decent little profit. Costs us about, 150 to 200 exalted to craft, and it's going to sell for quite a bit more. This one, on the other hand, we probably lost a little bit of value. It's hard to say for sure. It depends on what we unveil. But even if we did lose value, we didn't lose much. At most, we lost like 100 exalted. But even then, that's not really possible. Like at most, we probably lost 50 exalted. And last but not least, like I said, I'm going to take you guys through a juicy gloves example as well. I'm going to be using the same template as before. So let's get started. Of course, POE2 database modifiers page. I'm going to come to gloves. I'm not too concerned about the base type, but I'll just choose evasion energy shield hybrid because that's probably what we'll end up choosing anyways. And then step 1, what is my end goal? Well, I want these gloves mandatory. They need to have rarity of items found, crit damage bonus, and +2 level of melee skills. Beyond that, I would like them to have triple flat damage rolls as well. So let's move on to step 2. Step 1 taken care of. Step 2, where is my finish line? Well, the one that I'm going to choose is actually going to be similar to the helmet. I'm going to do a pair of magic gloves, and the only thing that matters is that they have +2 level of melee skills, and I'll show you why as I take you through the example. Like I said, you can choose, and I said this before, I should say, you can choose a different finish line. You could actually do a pair of rare gloves that already have like 3 suffixes, 1 flat damage roll as a prefix, and then 2 open prefixes. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. This is just the one I'm choosing to do in this example. So we're doing item level 75 or above gloves, magic, level of all melee skills, and we don't want it to have armor. We want it to be evasion, energy shield, or evasion energy shield hybrid. Doesn't really matter to us in regards to that. So I'm just going to buy a couple pairs here. I'll go ahead and grab this pair, and I'll catch you guys in a minute. I'll grab a couple, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, here we go. I got both my bases, or both my magic bases in this example. One of these cost me 15 exalted, the other one cost me 20 exalted, so very cheap to start. From this point, I'm going to slap them both with a greater essence of opulence. This is going to add rarity as a suffix to both of them, so let's go ahead and do that now. Boom, boom. Now they both have +2 level of melee skills, and they have tier 2 rarity. So we're already off to a good start. Not very complicated from this point forward. Next step is a little bit expensive, but we are ending up with a very expensive final product as well, so that kind of makes sense. We need to get the critical damage bonus suffix as well. In order to do that, we're going to use an Essence of Hysteria, which is a perfect essence. This will remove a random modifier and add in crit damage bonus, as you can see right here for the gloves line. We're going to combine that with Omen of Sinistral Crystallization, which will remove only a prefix modifier. So this is why when we bought our magic gloves, as you can see, all we cared about was the suffix, because we're going to be removing the prefix anyways, so we don't care. Doesn't matter to us. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the Omen. We're going to hit them both with the Essence of Hysteria. And as you can see, now we have triple suffix gloves. And there are some beautiful suffixes, let's be clear. +2 level of melee skills, rarity, crit damage bonus. We are looking quite good. Next step, we're going to go ahead and add a desecration to both of them. This has to be a prefix because our suffixes are filled up, so we're just going to slap it on there. Now we've got the prefix desecration on both of them, easy peasy. The final step, same as the helmet, same as almost every craft. Maybe not every craft, but a large majority of them will end this way. Omen of Greater Exaltation, Omen of Homogenizing Exaltation, and then a Greater Exalted Orb. Before we slam them, I'll just go ahead and show you guys what's about to happen. So currently we have a non-tag suffix, so this doesn't matter. We have damage and critical tags from the crit damage bonus, and then from level of melee skills we have attack. So with those tags, the only 5 possible options are the 4 flat damage rolls and accuracy. It goes without saying here, if you hit accuracy, it's a bit unlucky, but you know, it's just part of the RNG here at the end. The RNG is not that bad because the weight on flat fizz is actually higher. So in an ideal world, or the most likely good outcome, is flat fizz plus 1 of their flat elemental damage, and then we'll go unveil a 3rd flat damage as well. Of course, if you hit accuracy, it kind of sucks. You can still sell the gloves for like 1 to 2 divine, so you don't really lose anything, but you just have to restart the craft and do it again. But we'll go ahead and slap them. Bada bang, bada boom. Unfortunately, we hit accuracy. And this one, holy crap. This pair of gloves is going to be worth a lot of currency. That is a T1 lightning roll. Unfortunately, it's T4 flat fizz, but it is T1 lightning. So the potential for these gloves is pretty nuclear. These, like I said, these are probably going to be worth about a div. Like a 1 to 2 div, depends on what we unveil for the final prefix. I'm not going to worry about unveiling that right now. I'll do it at a later time. We are going to go unveil these though, because these could be insane. So let's go ahead and take these to the Well of Souls. Same as before with the helmet, we're going to be using an Omen of Abyssal Echoes here, so we get an extra chance. And with how good these are, this could even be worth using an Omen of Light. If we don't hit anything good in these 2 attempts, we could use an Omen of Light, get another attempt at the desecration. So at this point, no matter what, if we want a triple flat damage roll here, we can get it. We just have to use enough Omens of Lights, or Omen of Lights and Omens of Abyssal Echoes. But of course, Omens of Light are quite expensive, so hopefully we don't have to do that. We'll just start with the Omen of Abyssal Echoes, go ahead and reveal. No flat damage roll, we're not taking any of these. Oh, it's pretty unfortunate we did not get flat damage, so I'm going to check and see if it's worth to use an Omen of Light. I'm almost positive it is, but I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, upon a little bit of further research, as I expected, it's definitely going to be worth it to use an Omen of Light. As you can see here, if I open up the price checker, I just do all the, juicy stuff. I'm going to do 24% crit damage bonus, hit search. Let me take off Opulent Gloves. You can see the cheapest one, and that's, with accuracy, is 7 div. When you get up to triple flat damage rolls, we're looking at 20 div, 35 div, this guy's actually probably kind of out of his mind. He's got an evasion rating here for 35 div, but 45 div. Also, this guy's out of his mind. He's got accuracy, triple flat. Lord, I can't speak. 80 div. You get the point. The point is, if it's triple flat damage plus rarity plus 2 melee skills plus crit damage bonus, it's going to be worth a shit ton of currency, obviously. So in this case, it would be worth it to go ahead and slam an Omen of Light. If you don't want to, you already have a huge profit here. I'm very confident with these gloves, at least, I could sell them for like 5 to 6 div, even without the triple flat roll, because they have T1 lightning. And somebody that knows what they're doing would take these Omen of Light, the desecrated modifier off, get a 3rd flat, and then resell them for like 20 div. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and buy the Omen of Light, so that way we can do that ourselves. Buy it for 4 div really quick. Little expensive, of course, but not the end of the world. We're going to go ahead and, oh, whoops, we needed a null. Let's go ahead and grab that really quick. Actually, we should have some of those in our stash. Again, Omen of Light, a null, take that off. We're going to go back to the Well of Souls. Oh my goodness, we forgot our desecrated rib. Okay, so now we got our preserved rib. We're going to add that on. We've still got our Omen of Abyssal Echoes left over. And of course, this time we're actually going to rub the dog, hopefully get a little bit of good luck from that. And now keep in mind, using Omens of Light, like, I'm not going to necessarily recommend it because they are super expensive. And if I don't get a good roll this time from the two options, or the first three and then the reroll, if I don't get anything good from that, then all of a sudden it's like, this is kind of awkward. Whereas that original pair of gloves, even without the third flat roll, would have been a massive profit. So just something to keep in mind. Can't necessarily recommend Omens of Light because they are just like 4 div each, so it is pretty expensive, but we are going to use it because I think it's worth it in this case to at least use one, because these do have T1 flat lightning, so they could be worth a lot if we get a good roll here. So Omen of Abyssal Echoes, we rub the dog, reveal. 8 to 11 fire is pretty miserable. Let me double check that. That's like T7 fire or something, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's T7 fire. That's pretty terrible. Honestly, maybe I should have used an ancient rib here. I'm not the best crafter, let's just be clear, but maybe an ancient rib would have been better here. But yeah, that's kind of hindsight considering I got the bad roll. We'll go ahead and I think we'll actually settle on T7 fire. It's pretty bad, but we can always come back with an Omen of Light later if we want to try and make these even better. We're not actually going to use these because we already have a really insane pair of gloves that we made with this exact same method. Triple flat plus crit damage, rarity, melee skills. Surprise, surprise. These are insane. But we can maybe come back to these with another Omen of Light on a different day. But for now, we'll probably just try and sell them for, I don't know. Let me pull it up and I'll show you guys what they're probably going to be worth. Okay, so yeah, they're still going to be worth an insane amount. I would say probably not quite as much as some of these, like the 20 div, because this is 3 good tiered rolls, even though none of them are tier 1, like our tier 1 lightning, but also none of them are tier 7, like our tier 7 fire. So I would argue that these gloves, the ones that I've got, are probably worth anywhere from 10 to 20 divs, somewhere in that range, because of the good flat lightning. But it is taken down a little bit by the bad flat fire. But they're still worth a ton. All I'm looking for here to try and price check this is the T1 lightning or T2 lightning or above. Actually, this isn't T1, this is T2 or above. Rarity, +2 melee skills, crit damage bonus, and then just 2 other flat rolls. You can see the cheapest pair, I don't even have armor taken off. The cheapest pair is 20 div, and then 60, 80, 200. Obviously, it's not selling for 218 div. Maybe this one actually will, because, this is actually pretty insane rolls. Probably not 218, though. That's probably a bit nuclear. But, yeah, these will probably sell pretty quickly, considering they're so underpriced compared to the other ones. But my pair in specific, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe even a bit more. If someone comes and buys these out, and all of a sudden the cheapest pair is like 40 or 50, then mine will be worth more all of a sudden because of just, economy, or the economics of it. But at the end of the day, they're definitely an insane pair of gloves, and that's just taking you guys through the example. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, this video did go over the 10-minute mark. I think that's fair considering it's a crafting video, very complex topic. I wanted to get some examples in at the end to kind of illustrate the point. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later, chefs.